Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hugnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. You can follow us on Twitter, ThunderCast_pod. You can watch the show on the ThunderCast YouTube channel or listen to us anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcast. Russ, it was I don't even have the right adjective, type of viewing experience on this weekend's game. It was, I'm at a loss for words still. It's been a couple of days now, and I still don't know how to accurately describe what I watched on TV and, well, what you were able to watch live. So I don't recall having to do a recap like this in a really long time. I don't know if we've ever done one like this on our show before that I can recall. Can you?
Last year's Georgia Southern game?
I mean, kind of. I mean, it's in that ballpark, really, but I don't know if it was, I don't know. This one just, I don't know. But nonetheless, we have to talk about what happened in this game, the Herd and Louisiana. So many positives, so many negatives in this one. But I guess I want to hear about the entire trip and all that stuff because I know you made the really long round trip to go watch the Herd and get the scene down there in Lafayette. You linked up with some fellow SBC podcasters and all that kind of stuff. And I want to hear about it, but go ahead and give me a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
As per the norm right now, I guess this whole weekend is very forgettable. So let's try to make the show as best as we can. But geez, this was a hard pill to swallow. I'm sure it has. It has been for me. It has been for a lot of the fan base, if not the entire fan base. Every single player and coach that's on the roster, undoubtedly, this is just bad all the way around. But there are a lot of positives I want to talk about. But first, before I get into any stats and anything that has to do with the game, talk about the trip. It's a long trip. And I saw that you were posting, I guess, various stops along the way, getting there, and some of the places that you grabbed the bite and stuff like that. So talk about that a little bit, because I'm sure that was wicked cool.
Yeah, besides hitting up Buc-ee's, because that's right where the fuel range is for me. It just makes sense to go there. Plus, you can get some hot things, throw them in a cooler, and have some food for the road. But we stopped there, and then we get to Decatur, Alabama, and went to Big Bob Gibson's Barbecue, which has been open now for 100 years. It's been featured on a lot of different shows and everything. The home of the original Alabama white sauce. So we went there. Amazing. You know me, I don't eat at chains. I like to eat all the good locally owned stuff. We make it down right after midnight. It's like 12:20 to Lafayette. The next morning we hop up and we go to some places. We go to Old Time Grocery. Got the best po' boy, shrimp po' boy that I've had. Been a staple there for a long time. We went and got some beignets over in Scott, Louisiana, neighboring town over, kind of like a suburb. Really good. We even tested out Louisiana's famous drive-through daiquiris, where you just go get whatever mixed drink you want and they give it to you in a cup, which is technically legal because they haven't put the straw down in the sealed container yet in your styrofoam to-go cup of whatever you got. But anyway, just it was great, man, going around and trying out all this stuff. You know, for me, the journey's part of the deal, and we had a good time with that. Everything was great except for that final scoreboard.
It was really okay for a vast majority, but Well, not even a vast majority, but for a good chunk of the game, it was really good. But this Herd team has really struggled and continued to struggle with closing out teams that they should beat, and this was magnified beyond anything I saw coming. I mean, first of all, nobody saw 54-51 coming at all. No one.
No.
But that's where we'll begin with this show. 54-51, a double overtime loss by the Herd at the hands of the home team, Louisiana Raging Cajuns, in front of 20,125 fans. So you can't even say that it was a overly intimidating environment. I think it was just like you just didn't win. I mean, and in the most sensational way possible. Yeah. I've got some indicators here for you, and they're kind of a toss-up, but one is going to stick out beyond any other, and it's a point of emphasis that everybody was kind of tweeting about during the game. I'm sure the folks at the game were talking about it in real time, but let's talk about those indicators. Well, first of all, the Herd is now 2-3 and 0-1 in the Sun Belt Conference. Indicators: total yards, time of possession, first downs, third downs, penalties, and turnovers. Total yardage, Marshall actually outgains Louisiana. They topped the 500-yard mark for the first time this season. 503 total yards for the Herd, 461 for Louisiana. Time of possessions edged out by the Herd, 30 minutes, 28 seconds to 29 minutes, 32 seconds. First downs, again, just edged out by Louisiana, 29-27. Third downs edged out by Louisiana, 7 of 14 for the Cajuns, 6 of 14 for the Herd. Here's the one. Penalties. I don't know how it gets this lopsided, but man, it did. One penalty, one for 5 yards, and that came in overtime for the Cajuns. 12 penalties for Marshall for 102 yards. A lot of folks right off the bat are going to say, what an undisciplined football team. You could say that. I think some of those calls were really kind of, was it though? Because the other team got away with those same calls. They just were not called. And then turnovers, 1 for the Herd and then 2 for Louisiana. So edge Herd. This is one of those where the indicators, outside of penalties, you would consider this a toss-up game. I don't think that it would get you to the 54-51 toss-up, yet here we are. So what's your take based on the indicators, before I talk about players, on what we saw Saturday?
Keeping in mind that while I have seen individual play replays, I did not do a rewatch. I got home before 10 o'clock last night. Did not, I was at work today. So I just have not watched a replay. When I'm saying these things, it's based on these handful of plays. The targeting call, it seemed to me that the Louisiana player was lowering his helmet to brace for the hit at the same time. I didn't see that in any way where Parker was launching himself or trying to hit with the crown of the helmet. So that one really shocked me. It was a helmet to helmet. Parker's helmet came flying off. You can't say that wasn't helmet to helmet, but it seemed to be like he was going to tackle where he needed to. And at the same time, the player lowered his helmet. Nothing nefarious by either player. The one penalty that was called on roughing the kicker or running into the kicker, that was a very good acting job, as he should have done, by Lorcan Quinn. So, they really could have gotten out of there with 0 penalties, really. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying, hey, the refs cheated or anything like that. It's just a big disparity looking between the two. I will say this: 5 of UL's first downs came from Marshall penalties. That one targeting, of course, was the big one, but 5 of their 29 came from penalties against Marshall. That went on to help them score, undoubtedly. Yeah. Both teams gained 275 yards rushing. Marshall lost 30 on their negative plays from sacks, and UL lost 11. But it was just wild to me that they both gained exactly 275, one on 46 carries, one on 48. And, I mean, that just it stands out that it's the penalties that get you, because 5 of their first downs went there.
Yeah.
5 of them got them into first down territory.
Yeah, and none larger than the fourth down offside call that extended the game and ultimately was not the catalyst, that because I can't pin that on Riviera Harvey at all. That's not him. But that was yet another catalyst that pushed that game to the edge of the Cajuns.
One of many. One of many.
One of many. Yeah, that's why you can't blame that kid for that. But you know, in that moment, I get it. Like, you want to get out of there, but just a little bit of overzealous extended the drive. It ultimately led to a score, which ultimately led to overtime, which we saw how it played out.
When it is 4th and less than 5 and they're going for it, I mean, that's your
hard count's coming.
They're going to try to get you to jump,
Mm-hmm. Hard count's coming. There's more to talk about in grades. Let's talk about some players, how our guys did. CDRW had a great game again, 24 of 31, very, very efficient, 258 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 21 carries for 81 yards and a long of 15. Michael Allen grasps hold of the RB1 position, 19 carries, up over 100 yards, 138 yards for Mike Allen, 7.3 yards per carry on 2 touchdowns on the ground with a long of 68. We finally saw it. The big long run play that this rush offense has been known for prior to becoming the Herds offense. We finally got it 4 games in. Allen also chipped in with 5 receptions for 39 yards. Floyd Lacey went off again, 10 receptions on the day, 146 yards through the air, 14.6 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns, a long of 35, including one of the most clutch touchdown passes and catches that I've seen in a while. Toby Payne, just 3 receptions for 29 yards. Couple quick bullet points for the offense. 502 total yards. You mentioned 275 yards, but a overall plus of 245. And then 5 total touchdowns again for this offense. That's going to win you a lot of football games, except this one, because we've got to talk about the daggone defense and what went wrong. Javay Gilmore, though, leads the team, 9 total tackles, 5 solo, 1.5 tackles for loss. Jalen Parker, up until the targeting, was having a great game. 7. He still finishes second on the team in tackles, 7 total tackles, 4 solo, and a half a tackle for loss. Kerryon Martin, 6 tackles, 2 solo, and a half tackle for loss. Daytwan Smith, 5 tackles, all 5 solos. Impact plays are not the way I thought I was going to see him for the Herd, but man, pretty good nonetheless. Just 1 sack that came by Braden Ward, or Brandon Ward, if you were listening to the ESPN broadcast like I was. These guys got our players' names wrong all game long. But 4 tackles for loss by the team, 2 passes defended, 2 interceptions, 1 by Boogie Trotter, and then by Paul Hudson III, which was the awesome 46-yard tip drill pick 6, big man touchdown, all of the descriptors. Awesome freaking play. Let's talk about the bullet points for the Herd defense. They allowed 54 freaking points. They allowed 34 points in the fourth quarter, and overtimes allowed, you said 275 yards rushing, but 264 after you take away the negative yardage. The Sunbelt Offensive Player of the Week came at the hands of this defense, and it was the 3rd string second quarterback in the game that ended up being that Offensive Player of the Week, and he went 7 of 13 for $125 and 2 scores, 13 carries for 129 on the ground, and 3 scores. Man, this was not a great game by the Herd defense. And then special teams, let's close it out. Lorcan Quinn, 3 of 4 on field goals, sets a new career long of 53, 6 of 6 on extra points. Nathan Totten, just 3 punts on the day, which would have thought would have been a great thing. 134 yards total, 44.7 yard average, 1 inside the 20 and 1 touchback, a long of 49. The only thing other that you have to talk about on special teams was Xavier Turner Bradshaw had the fumbled punt return, which set up and started the Cajuns scoring. Russ, let's revisit some keys to victory. What was your number 1 overall key to victory in this game for the Herd?
I got to have them up. Go with yours first.
Okay, my number 1 was run the football, and they did that. 275 yards rushing. Mike Allen goes for over $130, couple on the ground. Really great day on the ground for the Herd. They get a check.
My number one was stop the run. They were averaging 6.1 coming in. We actually held them a little bit lower than that, barely, but 275 on the ground before the sacks is not getting it done. They got an X on that.
Yeah, my number 2 key to victory was disciplined defense focused on tackling. Nobody listened to that one, I guess. This is the biggest of all X's ever that I can remember on this show. This was an egregious defensive effort, big time X.
My number 2 was keep improving on third downs, and on third downs we were actually 50%. That was a little bit lower than last week or the previous week, but they still did pretty good on third down. I'm going to give them a mixed bag there, maybe a half a check. It's kind of hard to improve over 58 point whatever percent we were, but I felt like third down is. I'm sorry, we were 6 for 14. I was looking at Louisiana's, so we were right around the 50%, but lower. We did do a pretty good job of that, and we were also 1 of 1 on fourth down. That being a touchdown, but I guess I'll give them half a check because it is an improvement over earlier in the season.
Yeah, that's fair. My number 3 key to victory was let the stars shine. Mostly they did that. CDRW had a great game. Floyd Lacey had a great game. Mike Allen had a great game. Where it fell short on offense was they didn't target Toby Payne nearly enough. And every time they did, they moved the ball right down the field. I can give them most of a check, the majority of a check, however you want to say it, but it's not a full-on let the stars shine for me. On defense, some guys did. Boogie got another interception. Paul Hudson made a great play. Braden Ward got himself a sack, but overall, by the overall defensive effort as a unit, not enough of those stars shined in big moments. So what was your number 3?
Number 3 was improved tackling, and without the benefit of rewatching this game and my vantage point that I was looking at from the opposite end zone for a lot of the plays, I couldn't see exactly how bad any missed tackling was. So you'll have to help me out with that. I just know that it did not seem to be that we were getting beat as bad from, hey, we missed a tackle and the guy went 72 yards for a score, but it did seem that we were getting beat with passes and runs that were just away from us.
Yeah, it wasn't a scenario like we saw at Middle Tennessee where you actually hit the guy and he got away necessarily. It was just kind of bad, you know.
Okay.
So the tackling is not like it was terrible. It's just like you weren't there to make the tackle. So
kind of what I was seeing, but I was way too far away.
Yeah, my number 4 was keep it rolling. Don't derail the offense. We did not see the really ugly trick play this week, but the defense did not step up and was not stout against the run. Special teams, another turnover. You know, the punt game was okay. Field goals were great. It would have been awesome. Like, again, you can't put this on Quinn, but if he goes 4 for 4, the game's out of reach, you know, so you can't blame him for that. He missed from 52 after he had hit from 53, but it was all these little things that added up to a loss for the Herd. So they mostly kept it rolling, but defensively they did not. And one big hiccup and a small hiccup on special teams kept them from rolling. What was your number 4?
Ride Del Rio-Wilson's hot hand, and I have to give him a check for that. You know, he ran the offense. He did 258 through the air with 3 touchdowns, 81 on the ground, just under 4 a carry. But I feel like he did everything that he could on the offensive side. No turnovers is the big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, another efficient day too. The yardage is great. The scores are awesome. No turnovers is great, but he's very efficient with the football. This is really good stuff to watch week over week.
Even though he touches it every single time when he's getting the snap, but actual like passes and rushes, he had 31 throws and 21 on the ground. So 52 times out of the 72, he touched the ball and actually was involved in the play. So I feel like they did ride that hot hand. Sure. The offense runs through him. I have to give him a big check on that.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, they got 2. They got 2 of my 4. Of course, the biggest one was the based around defense this week, and you know the defensive side of the keep it rolling part really hurt them as well. But it just wasn't enough. So let's talk about some grades. You just were talking and singing the praises of Del Rio-Wilson, the only quarterback we saw this game. So what's your grade for CDRW?
I give him an A, bordering on an A plus. I didn't see any mistakes from the stands where I was at. I could probably nitpick something about, hey, this guy was wide open or something like that, but he made the big throws that he needed to make, especially when the game was on the line. That pass to Lacey, the pass to Lacey did not seem to be. It was maybe a little high, but it looked like Lacey just came up with that leg cramp or whatever.
Yep.
Is what happened there, and hitting Norton on that massive fourth down play to get that touchdown and everything. So I have to give him an A, bordering on that A plus.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. The 2 touchdown passes were both clutch plays. One's a fourth down, one's with in the closing minutes of the game to go back ahead and takes the clock down to 1:01. And you're thinking, man, this is great. This is exactly what we needed to happen. There was one, I mean, this is the nitpickiest as it gets. There was one pass that I recall that was an incompletion where even the announcers were like, ooh, that was a dangerous pass. And it was, but it didn't mean anything. The guy didn't make a play on the ball. It was just could have been dangerous, but every pass could be dangerous. He's just been really, really great for me. I give him an A2. I think it was an awesome effort by him, a very great individual game for a CDRW for the second straight week. Offensively, what do you got for the Herd as a whole?
It was an A2. There were some penalties there, is about the only thing. And again, I'm not holding it against Lacey on that coming up short on what would have been a big, big touchdown. But it's hard to find any faults other than we had a couple of penalties.
Well, it's still an A. It's an A minus for me because – and I'm just being stubborn. Maybe I'm being stubborn because of how important a guy like Toby Payne can be to this offense. And they didn't target him at all until the final minute of the first half. And he had 3 receptions. They moved the ball right down the field and they scored right before the end of the half. Then they didn't even throw his way again until the final minutes of the fourth quarter. And he didn't record another reception. That was the only other time he was targeted. So the final minutes of the first half and regulation is where you look for 81. And it's almost like we need something here. Let's find the surest, set of chain moving hands that we have. And I'm like, well, why don't we do this more often? Like sprinkle him in throughout the game as well. It's hard to get mad at 5 offensive touchdowns and, your wide receiver 1 going over 100 yards, your running back 1 going over 100 yards, no offensive turnovers again. I mean, it's really hard to get mad at that. So I think I'm just being stubborn, but still 81 is such a freaking weapon. You have to sprinkle him in throughout the game instead of just right before half.
Yeah. But for me, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers. It's special teams turnover, but you know what I'm saying. On the offense, no turnovers.
Yeah.
And like you said, 81 on the ground, 138 on the ground, 146 through the air, and then 258 throwing, and we had 245 after you get the sacks on there. Again, I'm at an A, borderline A plus there, but I'm at an A.
Sure. Defensively, this is where going to be a little bit of discussion for me. I've made more notes than I've ever made, I think, in a while. And before I get your grade, I'd like to welcome in all of the listeners to Louisiana right now that have skipped forward to this section of the show to just hear exactly what we're going to say, because I know they're eating it up right now. But Russ, what do you got for the defense in this game against Louisiana?
It's an F. There was some good defense played early. First 2 drives, 3 and out, and then that muff punt return really just gave them the ball on a short field, and we still held them to just 3. When it could have been a lot worse. So there was some good defense early. Up until the half, it was like, well, it's been decent defense. We gave up those 2 touchdowns, but not bad. Lunch comes in, Lunch Winfield, and it's just like, it looks like we have not prepared for this at all. What's this guy that's running this zone read and is running this way and that way, left, right. We can't stop this guy. Oh, by the way, we're getting thrown over the top and they're beating us there. It just seemed like that plus the penalties and just everything that we did, it's an F. We gave up 17 points when we're up by 3 scores, 17 points, real quick. And our team even goes down and scores with, I don't know, what was it, 40 seconds to go or something like that?
1 minute and 1 second was left.
1 minute and 1 second. And then you just let them go down and score again. So, I mean, there's no way that I can even look at things. And this is a unit that got a defensive touchdown in this game. This is a unit that got 2 interceptions in this game. It's an F. You cannot make it an F plus. You can't make it a D minus. It's an F.
No. If I could give an H, I would, because it was bad. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, really, but it was bad, man. I mean, outside of the uber exciting play, the 46-yard tip drill pick 6 by Paul Hudson III, which was awesome. That's a play that I'll watch for years to come because that was so cool. And Boogie Trotter getting another interception after they took Beal out. Was it Beal? Is that his name? Beal out
Daniel
of the game.
Beal, yeah.
Daniel Beal. After he went out of the game, that was it. I mean, it was over. It was like they just stopped playing defense. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, how was that guy, Lunch Winfield, not the quarterback already if he is that dynamic and that good? I mean, he must have just been playing out of his freaking mind. I mean, I saw him play. He was playing out of his freaking mind.
Here's what some local fan down there, I'm not gonna name any names, but some local fan, I overheard him say, even if it was said directly to me, the thing with Lunch was, the rumor was he had trouble remembering the plays and the offense and stuff like that, so it had to be a very limited number of plays that he had to run, and they seem to have just ran those over and over and over during that game when he came in. And they were talking about his speed and athleticism and all that. You could clearly see it. It's just that apparently he did not have a grasp of the overall offense. Does it look like he needs it? Not really.
No, he's like, all right,
Not
run
really.
left, run right, run up the middle. Like, go for it, brother. You did a hell of a good job. I mean, in basically a quarter and 3/4, not quite a half of play, he was the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Week. I mean, Jiminy Christmas.
Before we move, go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, we ain't moving on. I've got a lot more to say about this defense. But you have a 14-point lead, right? After the missed 52-yard field goal. That was with 13 minutes, 19 seconds to go. You have a 14-point lead. And I know anything can happen, right? But when you start to feel the momentum just slipping away from you, it's got to be something that you have to do something, right? And I got this feeling, even as it was happening, I didn't feel like they were going to come all the way back. I felt like, all right, Marshall's offense is kind of rolling too. We'll get one. We'll put it out of reach enough that they can't, come all the way back. And I mean, I don't fault Gibson for trying to kick that field goal. I mean, Quinn just hit from 53, 52. He's good. He had plenty of leg. He just missed it again. But this is when my second guessing starts coming in. And I'm like, you know what, man? This might have been the time to try to kick him, pin him deep, and make him go 100 yards. And you know what I mean? Because now you're on a relative – I think they got the ball in the 35, maybe, something like that they were able to have a shorter field and go for it. I mean, I don't know, right? But then you give up you go down and you get the clutch throw and the clutch catch and leave 1 minute and 1 second on the clock. And you give up a tying touchdown on a 75-yard drive. And it took 46 seconds. The final minute of the game, you gave up a 46-second, 75-yard touchdown. When that was happening, all my brain was going to was all those years we sat in the stands and watched Marshall take late leads into the fourth quarter, and the defense needed to get a stop, and they couldn't. And we watched game after game, seemingly for several years, where we just needed one more stop to get the win, and we couldn't. And I know it's a coincidence, but it was also the green helmet era, and it's like it sucks, because I wanted that for those guys. I wanted them to get, like, they were taking these punches, and I wanted them just to find enough in them to get one stop and escape with that win. And they were just unable to, and I want to talk to you real quickly about that last stop. Do you happen to know when the last defensive stop came in the game?
I looked at the drive chart earlier.
I'll tell you when it happened.
It was before Lunch Winfield came in, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It was the interception by Boogie Trotter that ultimately pulled Beal from the game.
Yeah.
And that was the last defensive stop. They did not stop Lunch Winfield at all.
Yeah.
He came in
5 touchdowns.
He came in with that stop came at the 10-minute, 30-second mark of the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So for the final 25 and a half minutes of the game, plus overtime, you didn't get one stop, not one. Field goal, touchdown, 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 overtime, touchdown, touchdown. That's how it went for them. That is horrible, man. I just don't know what else to say about that. I don't know how to drive that home anymore. I think that drive chart says it all right there. What other notes do you have on defense?
Well, I could put this in a different category here later, but I want to throw out a couple of words here.
Okay.
Embarrassing, stupid, and ridiculous. And if you think that this is Russ and KD as the Thundercast, like saying this about the team, no, those are words that I just pulled from Tony Gibson's mouth from his post-game press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that we say here on the show, the team, the players, the coach, they're all saying it about themselves. So we're not here beating anybody up. We're just telling you what happened. And Coach already knows it. And we're not going to say a thing that he's not already thinking, because it's not like we're making these stats up. It's not like we're making this up that, hey, this guy came in and you didn't get one single stop. It was 5 touchdowns and a field goal from the time that he came in. It was just a bad stretch of defense. When you look at, like, either being out of position, falling for fakes, getting thrown over the top, just not making the play, whatever it was, not one single thing happened that was good on the defensive side as a whole. Like, every single drive, you would have, like, key plays and big stops and things like that, only to have, like, hey, you got them on 4th and 1 or 4th and 4, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's 4th and 4. Why don't we get exactly what they need to get a first down with a penalty? It was just, I can't fault Parker for getting that 15-yarder. Like I said, I think that was the wrong call. But it's an F. There's nothing about that performance with all the good that happened earlier. What would I have graded it up through that Boogie Trotter interception? I don't know, but it would have been probably like a B plus at worst, maybe. I mean, you get a pick 6,
the drive before.
Yeah. And you get that interception, and it looks like, hey, we're getting ready to stomp them, put the foot on the throat, and, the only thing you can look at besides the penalties is that we did not get more than one sack, and I mean, came close. He got it away, and I don't think that was intentional grounding that he did. I think that he threw it close enough to that player. It's just as he was getting tackled, he didn't have the arm strength to get it closer to him. But that is the only time that we came even close that I can recall to sacking Lunch Winfield after he came in the game. But overall, there was not a single drive after that interception that Boogie had that, I mean, it's F football,
Yeah.
It took a game. I have not yet looked, and I'm going to look in a second when you go back to talking. I'm going to look at the game cast percentages and everything. I'd like to see what it was when we were up 34-17 and we just got that interception by Trotter. I have to imagine it was 90 something, you know.
Yeah. Had to be pretty close. I mean,
yeah.
One stop would have made all the difference in the final 25 minutes of regulation, and it didn't happen, not one time. Let's move along here to special teams. Quinn had a pretty good day. Totten had a short but pretty good, impactful day. But you end up with one missed field goal and the fumbled punt return, which was confusing because I didn't understand. Like, maybe it was obviously a coach decision. It's like, well, we'll give Lacey one, we'll give XTB one, and we'll see how it goes. And I mean, that's what I thought was immediate. Like, whoa, why is Lacey not in there? And I think, oh God, is he dinged up? Is everything okay? He just couldn't make it out for the punt return. Is everything all right? And then the fumble. So, what do you got for special teams?
This was a weird grade for me, but I had C+. We had a couple of 50-yard field goals, and had clutch, at the end there for that. Another stellar, even in the short usage. Brandon Totten, had a really good punting game. I gave C+. I don't know. I mean, had the muff punt been during the big comeback part and not 3 points earlier, it would have been a much better, worse grade, better decline is what I was trying to say. But I'm going C+ because, 3 out of 4 and the one you missed was 52. Usually you're going to take that all day long. Yeah. And even though he missed that other one, he did some very good Juilliard level acting to get a second chance at it, and he nails that one when we absolutely had to have it. So I'm going C+, man. It's hard to grade.
Yeah, it's not a bad grade. I felt like this was a C+ thing too, and for the exact same reasons. That punt return fumble happened early in the game, and they were still held to a field goal. There was tons of football left to play. Obviously, Marshall went on their roll after that happened. So then at that point, you're thinking, man, we're up 17 points. That's a non-issue. Like, it doesn't matter. And then the downfall of this defense started to occur. Yeah, a 52-yard miss is a big deal, but you hit 3 other ones, including you miss an overtime. And that was a gift penalty. I don't mind calling it that. That was a gift penalty, but Jiminy Christmas, they gifted the no calls on some. You're going to go watch a rewatch at some point, and you're going to watch one of these.
I don't think I am. I don't want to.
Well, if you might even be able to watch some of the highlights on ESPN because they have a lot of them. And one of those running touchdowns, I can't remember which one it was. Dude, it was an obvious hold call. And I don't want to say these things because then it starts to sound like, oh, you're blaming the refs. And I'm not. Because at any point in the final 25 minutes of the game, our defense could have gotten a stop and we would have won the game. I'm not blaming the refs. But there were just calls that were not called that had a direct swing in points. That's a 10-point or a 10-yard penalty that isn't called that ends up as being a running touchdown. So there are some plays that just didn't get called, and I'm not blaming the refs. I don't do that, right? Is it conceivable that one team gets one penalty and it doesn't come to overtime and the other one gets 12? It is. It's highly unlikely, but we just saw it happen. So C+ is not a bad grade. Coaches, what do you got?
I got a D. At certain points, you have to say we got to do a better job of preparing these kids. And I feel like on the defense, we did need to prepare them better. There has to be at some point, and again, I'm not saying there was not. I'm just saying there had to have been at some point they said, hey, if Bill gets out of the game for an injury or if Bill gets out of the game due to not playing well, we're going to see this guy. Here's what he looks like. I'm sure that is in every week of game planning that you're like, well, here's what the backup quarterback is. It just seemed like we had never seen any kind of tape of this kid, had no clue. dude runs a supposed like 4.35 or something like that. I mean, at some point you think this guy's going to come in, he's going to run the zone read. This guy comes in, he's going to try to run. He's very athletic. Let's game plan for that. It just seems like we did not. I don't know. It's not an outright if, and again,
no, because offensively the coaches were prepared as hell and they did a great job.
Yeah, I'm just saying overall, I mean, it doesn't matter if you put up 100 points, if you give up 130. I still couldn't give that, say, well, coaching was good because we scored 100.
No, but it's what I'm saying. If it's a staff wide grade, then one half did great. Well, one half did great. The other not so much.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I'm going D, and I mean, I wouldn't if somebody said anywhere from D+ to F, I probably wouldn't complain too much about their grade.
Yeah, I'll tell you what stuck with me as I was a lot of stuff stuck with me. Games my mind went to, but something like that you said is what stuck with me while I was watching this Louisiana comeback. And it was what you said on the recap last week when you said you were talking about Gibson's post-game presser, and he said, oh, they're going to know. Like the defense is going to know that they need to do a better job. And that was sticking with me. And I was like, you know what? He made a point of emphasis to say they're going to understand this week. And then we get this outcome this week.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I'm not by any means trying to insinuate they're not listening to the guy, but I'm just saying they made a point of emphasis on this week. And the effort and the outcome was way worse.
So that was kind of the inverse. In that previous game, they had 3 quarters of bad defense followed by a fourth quarter of really amazing defense. Doesn't match up perfectly on the inverse here, but again, through that 34-17, and you just picked them off for a pick 6 and you get an interception there. If that, and I'm just asking, I don't know the answer because I'm hearing this for the first time. Was that in your head then of, well, sounds like they were listening?
No, it wasn't,
Okay.
Because at that point there was still scoring going on. It wasn't like this stifling 85 Bears defensive effort type thing, but it was when the cracks really started to show in that fourth quarter, and it was touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, and I thought, man, what is going on? And I'll tell you this, some fans, and I can't say they're wrong, had something to say about the touchdown to Lacey. They're like, well, why do you don't even do that? You continue to run the football, you run the clock down, you kick the field goal, you win the game, and you go home. And in retrospect, that's probably what you should have done. But at what point do you think we're going to score the go-ahead touchdown with a minute on the clock, and then we're going to give up a 75-yard touchdown drive in 46 seconds? I don't think I wouldn't have thought that would have happened, Because
go ahead.
Because to me, if you have the opportunity to score touchdowns, that's just what you do.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've got a pretty good memory over
way
the
better
years.
than mine.
Way better than most. I seem to recall 3 timeouts for both teams when we're going down there for that final drive. Is that not correct?
I don't know. That my memory has. I have no idea.
I think if you go back and watch that, they have 3 timeouts, okay? And they called one knowing that we're wanting to run the clock down. They were forcing us that we had to do plays. Now, they had 2 left, if I'm thinking correctly. They called one and then we threw the touchdown. All right. So if we run the ball there and we don't get a touchdown and we don't get a first down, they're just going to call immediate timeout, and then you're going to have a minute 1 or whatever left, and then you have to kick a field goal, and then you give them a full minute to go down to win the game instead of all they can do is tie the game. I think the play is with them having the touchdowns. You go for the touchdown. You don't get the touchdown, you can still kick the field goal. So that was on third down. It wasn't a fourth down. Hey, we're throwing it into the end zone, right?
That was a second down play.
Second down, okay. But still, they called the timeout right before that.
They called a timeout. I'm looking at the drive chart right now.
Yeah.
So now it's coming back to me. We had the 2-minute timeout.
Yeah.
Right. And then we run one play. They call their first timeout with 1:07, or they let it run down. We run one run play. They let it run down, and they call timeout with 1:07 to go. We run a play.
That's the touchdown.
Oh, I'm sorry. It says, wait a minute. We run one play and they call a timeout, I guess, because it says timeout Louisiana, clock at 2 minutes. I don't know. And then it says next timeout is at 1:07 by Louisiana. And then their last timeout is at 23 seconds left in the game.
The 2 minutes was
I know, but it's like I know that's the 2-minute warning or whatever they call
I'd like to go back and watch it, because it seemed to me that I looked up and said how many timeouts everybody got as we're getting ready to go down the field. And I was like, all right, so unless we just keep getting first down, and things like that, we cannot just ice this game and run the clock down to kick the field goal. Buddy that's with me, and he played college football and ref for years and everything, he's going, don't play for the field goal. Don't play for the field goal.
That's what I say.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here, I was wrong about second down versus third down, but in my mind, I'm thinking they had 2 more timeouts. So if you just run the ball right up the middle, you're still going to be looking at a minute and we get 3. Our only option is to get 3, and then they've got the ball to go 75 yards
with more time.
Yeah.
And I mean, respectfully, it's not a guarantee that the field goal is going to be good from that short of distance or little at all,
Yeah,
So,
it wasn't a situation where we could have kneeled and let the clock run down. Otherwise, everybody in the world would have done that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, except for I can't remember that coach for the Bears that did that a couple of years ago and just totally screwed up the clock. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But no,
I say you always go for the touchdown, and then you always if there's an opportunity to score a freaking touchdown, you score a touchdown.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
All they can do, except for I turned around to Jamie and I said, if they score, I bet they go for 2. And
I was feeling that too. But then I thought, you know what? They've got all the momentum. Maybe and they're at home. Maybe not. They take it to overtime. We haven't stopped them yet. So
hey, I got 2 stats here that I left out real quick when I was on defense that I forgot. Louisiana had 7 yards passing per attempt, but 14.1 per completion because they were 14 to 28. 14.1 per completion, and Daniel Bill got thrown out of the daggone game for not doing very well. So all of that seemingly was coming from Lunch Winfield, just that performance. Also, too, we talked a little bit, about red zone scoring and points per and everything. Both teams' offenses scored 5.67 points per. Louisiana was 6 out of 6 with 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals in the red zone during this game. We were 3 for 3, but we were 2 touchdowns and a field goal. They were 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals in theirs. It just seemed like one of those when I was looking back, I was like, really? 6 for 6 and 4 touchdowns.
Well, let's get the last 2 here. What do you got for the fans this week?
There weren't many fans down there, so all this is going from like what I saw from online chatter, and a lot of that was today or during gas stops on the drive home. You'd see something or whatever, but there was just way too many. I'm done. We'll go 2-10. Fire Gibson, fire Shannon Morrison. Guys, this seems like the perfect place to put this. And I saw Trace Johnson put this. He wasn't stealing my thunder because I didn't say it to anybody else, but I thought about this a lot during the MTSU week, and it kind of solidified it now. I remember watching in 2012 when we were going up and just throwing bombs and haymakers and scoring all over the place, and our defense could not stop anybody. And we gave up some fourth quarter comebacks and lost games that we should have won. And some we just could not score enough in the fourth quarter because we'd given up too much in the first half. Purdue comes to mind. But we went on to do pretty daggone well after 2012. We seemed to, especially in the second half of 2013 in that Military Bowl game against Maryland. Then we know what happened in 2014. Never give up on your team. I drove 2,028 miles round trip. Yes, I wanted my team to win. Yes, I expected my team to win. Yes, I was devastatedly upset that my team did not win. But if we had a road trip this week and my schedule allowed it, I would still make that trip. I'm not canceling plans to not go anywhere or whatever. We're going to have the biggest damn tailgate you could imagine when ODU comes to town our very next game. You've got to stick with your team. Emotions are going to get the best of you. Emotions have gotten the best of me before. I'm not perfect. They get the best of you. You're not perfect. You said that you've come a long way on this show plenty of times from that fan that used to let it get you all week long. So none of us, he's not, I'm not, we're not telling you, hey, man, we're always positive. We're always this. We've told you right here that was an F defense and it's, this and that. We told you every single thing about it. But you cannot get on here and just give up and start throwing around ought to be fired. Shouldn't allow him back on the bus. Going to be a long walk home. Friends of mine I saw put on there. It's going to, here's how far you'd have to walk. That's asinine, man. You have every right to bitch about the play. You have every right to be upset about the game. You do not, in my opinion, as a supporter of this team, the team that you love, give up on this team, the coaches, and especially these players who are out there playing their butts off for us, for our alma maters. We didn't just pick this team because, hey, I like that color of green. There might be a couple out there, but 95+% of Marshall fans went to Marshall and have a deep family connection at the worst, if they didn't, to Marshall. And you cannot give up on this team. You cannot give up on these players. And I don't want to see anybody that was saying 2-10 and I'm done and I won't go back to another game or anything. Don't you dare daggone cheer if they go on a run and win 3 or 4 in a row. Because I will find your post and I'll put it back and I'll say
they'll be long deleted. That's just how that goes. They'll be deleted.
That's how screenshots work in 2025, brother.
Yeah.
And look, we don't have it up, but everybody knows that it's at Russ Living Good. If you got a problem with me saying that, just tell me about it. I don't care. I'll just tell you flat out. I still like you, but you're wrong. You are wrong to give up on your team. That's what jerks do up in Morgantown, man. I'm trying to keep my language down. We got sponsors to think of. I don't want to, use up all my my bleeps and everything, but that's what other fans do. That's not what Marshall does. Marshall stands behind their team. And when we were in the early 80s and all through the 70s and stuff like that, we'd be damn proud to be 2-3. You know what I mean? We have lost, not excusing the losses, but we lost 2 games by a combined 4 points this year. Easily winnable games, not excusing them. 100% we should be 4-1. No doubt in my mind we should be 4-1. We're 2-3. It sucks. But it's not like we're getting blown out week after week and you're like, well, this team's trash. You're saying this team's trash when we could be 4-1. Yeah. There are problems. No one's saying there's not problems. Just do not give up on the team. That's why I'm giving everybody a D.
So this is probably a good time that a bye week's coming. Everybody will be able to take a breath and kind of reset and get ready for, an Old Dominion team, here in a little bit. But I was over it. Saturday night, dude, I was over it. And that's the last thing I tweeted. I did the final, the final score. The herd is 2-3 and 0-1. I don't have the energy for this. Good night. And that's what it was. Like, I did not have the energy to keep on living in that moment. I didn't. But I went to bed and I woke up, and it's just like every other week being a herd fan. If you can let that go, you wake up and love the herd again. And that's what it is. And I tweeted that I win with the team and I lose with the team. Nope, I don't play for them. Nope, I don't practice with them. Nope, I'm not in the locker room. None of that. But I win and lose with those guys. And if you don't, then we are not the same. You are welcome to be the fan that you want to be. You are absolutely welcome. How many times have we said, we ain't the fan police. You be the fan that you want to be. But just know that we are not the same if all you want to do is win and can't stand the loss. All I want to do is win too. And I can't stand the loss, but it doesn't make me bail, because they lose a bad game, have a horrible effort and lose a game. It sucks. But I'll sit right there. I've sat through the bitter end of a lot of losses in a freezing cold Jones C. Edwards Stadium and refused to leave until the clock hit 0.
Brother, I was there for the end of Akron when we gave up 62 at home, and it was raining and it was cold. I think it was raining. Maybe it was a different game, but it sure wasn't someplace where I wanted to be. And I sat right there until the final whistle. Now, I moved my seats. I went closer to my tailgate. When I went out for halftime, I came back in on the other end of the stadium, but I went back in. Mm-hmm. And I've been there through those 3 and 8 years. I've been there, I've been there for that's 2016 year was horrible. But those, what was it, 07, 08, 09, I think were the 3 in a row that were really bad. Mm-hmm. Maybe 09 wasn't. Maybe that was the year we went 6-6.
That was a pizza bowl year.
Yeah. So maybe it was 06, 07, and 08. But we were in the bottom 10 every week.
Yeah, but the point is the loss, setting through the losses and during the losses make the wins sweeter. Mm-hmm. Now, every fan's going to enjoy the wins. But if you set through the losses and you endure the losses, that when you finally do win, when you finally hoist a trophy again, it's that much sweeter because you were there for the entire build, rebuild, fall, build, reload, and then the win. So what do you got overall for this week?
So this is the first time I've ever done it. I had to split it up, the trip and the game, into two separate scores. The trip was an A+. Mm-hmm. Shout out right now to Rage and Review. Hit me up with a parking pass, so I got to park there, stayed at their tailgate. There's another tailgate right across from them that had a killer setup. You know me, I went over and said, can I get some shots of your rig here and everything? And as I was taking the photos and talking to them and getting to know, they were just like, hey, here's everything in our cooler. Here's all this food that we're cooking right here, and just sat here and, talk sports with everybody. Hit up some all-time great food places. Had 2,028 miles with my childhood friend and brother, Jamie. Game D, and it's very close to an F, but got to see a lot of good offense and some bright spots, and we were up 34-17, and it shows me what we're capable of if we fix some things. Mm-hmm. There are problems to be fixed, but I did not have an F experience at that game because up until a certain point, it was an A+ experience at that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's fair. For those of us that didn't make the trip and didn't have the first class tailgate and the A+ visiting experience, it was pretty rough. So I'm glad you got some positivity out of it. Most of us that just didn't.
But if you split it up and you didn't have the trip, I did mine and the game was a D. What would your grade be for the home?
Pretty damn close to that. I mean,
was it an F, a D-?
Well, it was. I don't think it was an F because there was a lot of exciting offense that got me out of my seat. I mean, I was sitting at home. I watched the game essentially by myself, in the living room, And when I'm by myself, it's kind of hard to keep the energy up because there's no energy in the house. But Paul Hudson got me up out of my seat, and I was like hooting and hollering, to the point to where my wife's like, "What is going on in there?"
We're going on.
It's like, yeah, they're like, this is cool shit happening here, man. This is awesome. So it was probably like a D-, but
Okay.
there was a lot of good plays in there, and I found myself cheering quite a bit. Offensive MVP, who's your guy or guys this week?
I had to say the entire offense. There were just too many. I don't want to leave out Lacey. I don't want to leave out Michael Allen. I don't want to leave out Carlos Del Rio Wilson. And I don't want to just split it amongst those three. We did great through the air. We did great on the ground. It was just good all around, man. So I'm giving the entire offense that had 5 touchdowns and 500-plus yards.
Yep, that's fair. The 500-plus yard effort is good enough to merit the entire offense being the MVP. Who's your defensive guy this week?
It's P3, Paul Hudson. I felt like he just won it from the team and from you, I think, last week and everything. And I was like, well, I'm giving it to, I think it was Cam Smith coming up with some big plays or whatever. But the guy has put up some really good games already in his short tenure here. And that seemed to have been, that touchdown just seemed to have been like, we're going to kill him. It was at the right time. It was at the right time. And it was a big play, so I'm giving it to him.
Yep, me too. He's my guy yet again, 2 weeks in a row. He's just been showing up game after game, play after play. Paul Hudson III. He was my breakout player, the guy I thought was going to do it in the defensive line episode, and he's proven me right so far this season. Special teams guy, who is it?
I'm going with Quinn. Even though he missed the field goal, it was from 52, and he hit some really big ones. And in an otherwise game where there was no real standout special teams, even at 44.7 on the average, there just wasn't enough of Totten to do what he needed to be the MVP. So I'm going Quinn.
It is Lorcan Quinn. 3 of 4 on field goals, new career long of 53. Just missed one from 52. Then the bounce back effort in the overtime. You get the miss, you somehow get the penalty call, and then you nail your second opportunity to force the touchdown of Louisiana to get the win. Unfortunately, they got it. Final words in this one?
It's a really good time for a bye week, like you said. And we have a gauntlet at home coming up, plus a Thursday night road game, which is never going to be easy. So these next 4, we really, really need the fans to show up and support and help, especially with the homecoming crowd against Texas State and this very next game that we have against a very good ODU team. We need the fans. So if you're mad at me for saying you suck, for saying you're giving up on them, show me how wrong I am by coming there and cheering on everybody with 25,000 plus.
Yeah. My final words in this one are take a breath, man. Take a beat, back off for a second, enjoy the bye week, and then come back re-energized, reinvigorated, and show up at Jones C. Edwards Stadium for the game against Old Dominion because they are riding high this year. And just as bad as this one sucked to lose, it would be 180 degrees in the other direction to hold serve at home and beat a streaking Old Dominion team and bring some levity to the Sun Belt East Division. So do what you got to do, but show up.
I also got to correct myself. I slipped. I think you caught it, but I called him Brandon Totten, and that was just an easy slip, but it was Nathan Totten, and I'm sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, we'll get it right next time, Booby. Anyway, that's all we got this week. Oh, don't forget, you still got an opportunity to get in on the homecoming giveaway for the Dutch Miller Deck passes. All you got to do is make a minimum $25 donation to the Marshall Cheerleading Championship Fund. The links are in the bios of all these episodes. All you got to do is do that. Take your receipt, DM it to us, or email it at thundercast_pod@gmail.com, and you are in the drawing. That's it. They're going to draw live at Thundercast Live for the Old Dominion game, so you will know 1 week ahead of time whether you won the Dutch Miller passes and parking pass or not. You still got time. Russ, we got nothing else? Take us out of here.
Whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Cam, or whether you see us at the Bet, no matter where you see us, we're not going to give up, and we're going to be saying, go Herd.
Go Herd. It's the Thundercast. Be at the Joan because I can't be. Be there for me. We'll see you guys next week. Later.